Hello there, welcome back to our end-to-end solution architect session for AWS data pipeline. If you have attended our past session, you may have seen that how we exported DynamoDB content from DynamoDB table to Amazon S3 by data pipeline, and we created this S3 folder structures. Now in this lab, what we are going to do is that just the opposite. Means from Amazon S3 we will transfer the data and populate DynamoDB table using data pipeline. We will use the built template already available in AWS data pipeline. Okay, so let's proceed to AWS Management Console. Now you have seen in our last session on AWS data pipeline that we created a pipeline, this pipeline for DynamoDB to S3 data transfer. And what I basically did after the session, that I clicked on this data pipeline. In action, I did this deactivate. So it will not trigger the pipeline again and again after a duration, and it will not cost me. Now in this session, what we are going to do, that we will read the data from S3 bucket and we'll populate the DynamoDB table. Now let me take you to the S3 first, that we have the S3 structure already created. So this is our S3 bucket we already created in our last session. So inside the E2E data lake demo, we have our raw zone. Inside raw zone, we have a folder called batch, and inside batch we have batch data and batch log. Inside batch log, we have two folders over here where we actually copied from DynamoDB table to batch data folder. So if we go inside this batch data, you will find this. This is the batch data, and if let me open it, click on download, and this is the data basically. So there are 4 records. Let me show you the DynamoDB table as well. Click over DynamoDB, click on tables. Our table name was policy data, so click over policy data. Now click on view items, and here we have the 4 records already that we extracted to S3 bucket. Now what we will do in this lab, that we will upload new data in S3 bucket, and we will see that how it is actually populating this policy data table. Okay, so we have our S3 bucket created, we have our DynamoDB table is also created. We have to create a pipeline in AWS data pipeline. So let's go to AWS data pipeline. Okay, you can search for the data pipeline over here. You will get data pipeline. Click on create new data pipeline. Now it is S3 to DynamoDB. I'm just copying it in the description, and again build using template. I'm selecting import DynamoDB backup data from S3. So our source will be in S3. Okay, and again I'm telling that in source there are 3 types of sources. If you have the definition file you have created, your custom definition file, you can load it from S3 or from your local system, or if you want to create this template using the architect portal, then you can create it too. So yeah, I will show you that how to create how to modify using the architect profile. So for now I am using this build using template and selecting import DynamoDB backup data from S3. Input S3 folder, you know that we have the S3 folder already there. So I'm again going back to the S3 folder over here. Inside batch, what will be our source folder? Our source folder will be batch data. Now we have these folders over here. So what I am doing, that this is the data actually we extracted from DynamoDB. So what I am doing, basically saving it as upload data dot JSON and I'm changing these figures a little bit. Okay, suppose just updating. So we have a upload data JSON where we have this 8 records and we want to populate the policy data table in DynamoDB. Now first our task will be upload this JSON file into S3 bucket. So let's go to our S3 bucket over here. I'm uploading the JSON file here. Uploaded. What I am doing that I am just deleting these two folders because we used it as target folder in our past session when we were transferring the data from DynamoDB to S3. So I'm just deleting these two folders from here. So now in this case we have the upload data.json. It is our source file into the source folder. Okay, so let's go to our data pipeline where we were creating. I'm just selecting the input. Let's go to raw zone, batch data, and inside batch data it is our file. So don't select the file, you should be selecting the folder only. So it is still batch data. Click on select. So you have till batch data. Don't select the file over there. Now it is asking for target DynamoDB table name. Again, it is case sensitive, so policy data only. Okay, it is the region of DynamoDB table US East 1. As you know that you have to put the DynamoDB table region, and this data pipeline, AWS data pipeline, is not available in every region. So you have the option for US East 1 or US West 2 like this. We are creating this data pipeline in US East 1. Okay, let's scroll down, and in schedule we have two options to run on pipeline activation, and second one is on a schedule. Okay, I'm selecting over here schedule, and what I am doing that I'm selecting a 15 minutes time window. So you cannot go below 15 minutes. If you configure with 15 minutes, it will show you an error over there that the minimum time window for retrigger, it should be 15 minutes. Okay, now start is on pipeline activation. So it will start from pipeline activation, and every 15 minutes it will retrigger it again. And ending, I'm selecting that after 10 occurrences only, and you can select as per your requirement or the strategy you are using for your production system. Now logging enabled. Okay, for your demo purpose you can do it disable, but since we have the login S3 folder already created, batch, and we have this batch log, and this is the log which was created from DynamoDB to S3. So let it be, just select the folder batch till batch log. Okay, we have now security and access. There are two roles. When you are using it in production, you should have the custom role to restrict the control of AWS data pipeline. So for now I am using data pipeline default role, which is the default role for pipeline role, and another EC2 instance role for data pipeline default resource role. Okay, scroll down. I'm not adding any tag over here, and again I'm going to I could do this activate first, but to show you the architect profile, let's click on edit architect, and we see that we have this flow in this portal. So this is the architect portal where you can customize your parameters. So if I select that scheduled 15 minutes, you see that every 15 minute schedule, occurrence system, everything you can customize one by one. S3 data node, this is our source node or S3 input data node. This is the table name, it will be coming into the variable, and you can customize or update the configuration you need. And this flow is coming from the template we have selected provided by AWS data pipeline. Okay, so I'm not updating it anything over here. What I am doing that clicking on this activate button, okay, showing pipeline has validation warning, do you still want to continue? It is showing at the footer part that it is showing that terminate after is missing. You can add the terminate after attribute over here, but since it is warning only, I'm not giving importance on this. But if it is error, definitely you have to fix it before you continue. Now I'm clicking on continue, and it has taken us to the list pipelines. Okay, just give a refresh. You'll find that waiting for runner, and this is table load activity. So if you expand this, it will show that the status is creating, and basically behind the scene it is creating an EMR cluster. Let me take you to the EMR. So you can search EMR over here. Just click on this EMR. Here you see that one EMR cluster has started. So status is showing starting. So if you expand it, you will find that there are two instances of M3X large are being provisioned. So it is master node and core node. So it means that EC2 instance, so if you go to the EC2 instance and just give a refresh over here, one instance is showing initiating. If you refresh it again, it will gradually come. The another one, it is showing pending instance state, and it is also being created. So you will get two instances per cluster because you have one for master node and another for core node. Now it will take few minutes, depend on the volume of data you have to transfer and to create this cluster, this M3X large instances. So let's wait for some time. Meanwhile, let me take you to few notes of this S3 to DynamoDB transfer using data pipeline. Okay, so DynamoDB table name is case sensitive, as I told. The partition key is also case sensitive. So in your upload file also, the column name of the policy ID must be identical and the data type should be the number. The upload file in S3 should be in a directory. Point the directory, not the file from data pipeline configuration. I also showed that don't point the file, point the directory. Okay. Make sure your S3 file in proper format. The proper format means the JSON format which is acceptable by DynamoDB. So it is called DynamoDB JSON format. And the format we have used, it is DynamoDB JSON format, and I will be sharing this sample data with this tutorial. Once the pipeline is active, the EMR instances take time. Check in EMR cluster. So when you are on the data pipeline screen, you may feel that maybe nothing is happening because it is taking around 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, but there are a lot of activities behind the scene. So if you want to check, you can go for the EMR EC2 instances and you can check that what are the process running behind it. Okay, do not forget to delete the pipeline and ensure EMR cluster is also terminated after you complete testing. Otherwise it will continue charging you. Now let's go back to our data pipeline and see how is the status. So I'm just refreshing it over here. It is still showing waiting for runner, and so we will go here EMR, and EMR is also showing that it is master instance is bootstrapping and core instance is provisioning. So let's go to our EC2 instance. I'm doing a refresh over here, and you see that two instances are still initializing. Okay, so it will take few more minutes. Meanwhile, let me take you to our Git repository, where in github.com/AWS Tech Guide you will find the scripts repository. Inside script you will find AWS, and in data pipeline, where I have noted few common issues you face for data pipeline. This error 1 and 2 are very common, that when you are creating the upload file, your format is not good, so it shows this error. So if it shows this error that the key element doesn't match the schema, what is the fix? Then if it is showing that data type issue, then what are the fixes? The DynamoDB upload file format also, and there are few notes that if you are using string, then use lowercase, not the uppercase. So for any data type, when you are using in your JSON format for uploading the file, do not use the uppercase, use the lowercase only. Okay, so I will be sharing this link also with this tutorial. Let's go back to our data pipeline, give a refresh. It's still showing waiting for runner, but you can check the actual status, which is what is happening in the EMR cluster. As you see that the master and core both instances are running now. Cluster status is waiting, cluster ready, install task runner has completed. Meanwhile, let me take you to few notes. The DynamoDB file format. It is very important when you create the file, JSON file in your S3 and you expect it to populate the DynamoDB table, because the DynamoDB expect in a particular JSON format. So here you can see that this is a one line, that string. Actually I have structured it this way, that policy ID is actually the partition key, and as I told that the policy ID, this name, this column name must be identical with the partition ID which you have created with the data type. So you see this small n means the number data type, but it should not be the capital N. If you put the capital N, it will give error. Okay, so upload file data type nodes is actually for string use small s, for number use small n. Do not use capital S or capital N for here. Let's go back to our data pipeline over here, give a refresh, and it's showing running status now. Okay, and click on more, it is showing running. Now let's go back to EMR to check what is happening behind the scene. EMR is also running, and now the next step has started, which is the table load activity, attempt 1, and it is showing running. Elapsed time 53 seconds. It will take few more minutes. And showing failed. Okay, so if it is showing failed, what you will do, that go to data pipeline, give a refresh, showing waiting for dependencies. Okay, go to attempts, and here is the issue. So it says that the provided key element does not match the schema. Okay, you can click on more and you will get this log over here, and you have this log also. This you can get the activity logs from here. If you click over here, you will get the activity logs also. The provided key element doesn't match the schema. Okay, so it means that we have something missing or discrepancy in our upload file over here. So let's go open our upload files once again. So this is the upload file we created. So what I did, I deleted the last line spaces, unwanted spaces, just by pressing the delete button, saved it, trimming few number length over here, and uploading the data again. Uploaded over here. Let's go back to our data pipeline, do a refresh. Give a refresh over here. Okay, so what we will do, that I am just clicking over here, it is, and doing it as cancel. I have cancelled this table load activity because it was not completed. That's why the status was showing waiting on dependencies. So I have closed it. So it will create one more table load activity under this pipeline, and as it is showing that scheduled runs every 15 minutes, so it will trigger the next one using our new file which we have uploaded in S3. And as you see, waiting for the runner, let's go back to our EMR. This instance V6S will be terminating itself, and it will create a new cluster in EMR again. And in EC2 instance, you will see that these two instances will be terminated gradually. As you see that it is shutting down. Go to EMR. It is terminating. The new cluster instance should come up. Yes, WM9 has started. So for this master and the code to M3X large, again we will start provisioning. So in EC2 it will show running, initializing. One more also will come. Now after few minutes, I'm refreshing data EMR cluster, and it is showing waiting cluster ready. So let's go. It's showing install task runner completed, and it's showing completed now. Well, so it means that we have our data populated in our DynamoDB table. So let's go to DynamoDB and let me refresh the table data. And we see this new data has been populated. So we have total 12 rows. We had 4 earlier and we added 8 new. Okay, so the issue we faced due to the number length, what we did actually, we reduced this number length. So we have learned that how to use AWS data pipeline to extract data from S3 bucket and populate in DynamoDB.